Congratulations again, Kelly, and thank you for the information on the Purcell.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. We are on YouTube now, streaming live as we prepare for our service. Congratulations to Kelly. And we're here with Leslie and Marek and Kelly so far. One more person will be joining us. Marek is, of course, on the deck of the Death Star. And Leslie and I are in lesser exciting places, but nonetheless still exciting.
Good Shabbos.
Good Shabbos, everyone.
Shabbos, we're going to start in a couple minutes, but we want to make sure everybody had a chance to see that we are on and going strong. And we'll start just about 6 o'clock. Oh, there's the Millennium Falcon. Nice job.
I want to be democratic. You can have the leap into, what do they call it in Star Wars?
Hyperspace.
Hyperspace, thank you. You can have that, or you can have the Death Star. Your choice.
I
like hyperspace. Yeah.
Okay.
Plus, it's Millennium Falcon, so that's the coolest ship in the galaxy.
I was telling the rabbi I have started rewatching all the Star Wars since I'm now paying for Disney Plus.
Whereas Lando said it, that is the fastest hunk of junk in the galaxy. And I'm not paying for Disney because I get it free with Verizon for a year.
Ah.
I want to thank Verizon for sponsoring our service one more time.
As I told the rabbi, I wasn't going to get Disney Plus, but Pamela decided she wanted to see Hamilton, so I now own it for a year.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
Absolutely, Kelly. You know, I didn't know what a voluntary was until you wrote me that note, and I had to look it up. I didn't realize there was a type of music called a voluntary for organ.
Yes. Yes.
I've never heard of it either.
I have passed all this along to my friends who asked, and they send you their regards. They think what you did was beautiful.
Oh, well, thank you.
What was this for?
This is for my friends in Florida, to whom I sent the link for last Shabbat service that I was telling you about. He is a former Methodist minister, retired Methodist minister. We've been friends for 50 years, and they're really into our services now.
That's great.
In fact, they want the links for Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur.
Well, please give our best to them. Again, sound like a really wonderful person. And we're going to go ahead and start our service. We want to welcome everyone. Shabbat Shalom. We're going to be using the repaginated Mishkan Tefillah, which you can find on the website. If you have your own book, that is wonderful as well. We're going to be giving the blue and black page numbers because I've recently learned that some people only bought the larger book that had Shabbat, weekday, and holidays, thereby meaning that they don't have the page numbers for the smaller book. So the larger page, the page numbers in blue are for the larger book, page numbers in black are of course for the smaller ones. So we'll be giving both today and maybe switching to blue page numbers next week so that we can include everyone. Shabbat Shalom again to everyone who is visiting. Shabbat Shalom to our members. We hope you're safe and sound. And we hope you enjoy our Seersucker Shabbat tomorrow, which is a wonderful service we have every year. We're going to begin on page 2 as we light the Sabbath candles. Page 2. I'm not going to put it on the screen since I think a lot of us know the prayer. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat. So Shabbat
Amen.
Shalom, everyone, as we're preparing for the holidays coming up very soon. For our Saturday services, we do some of the high holiday music because we've already recorded a lot of it. But for tonight, we're going to use Shabbat music. And we're going to use, again, our Mishkan Tefillah prayer book. So we hope everyone will enjoy using it. And we'll take special note to look at the bottom where you'll see a black and a blue colored page. And that, again, is for both anyone who would like. So we're going to begin now on page, we had just been on page 2 and 120, as you see there on the below. I hope you see that because that's what we're going to be doing. So now we're going to go to page 20. And at the bottom, you will see the equivalent page number, which is page 138. And so we'll be on page 20 or 138. As we invite Kelly to lead us in Lecha Dodi, we'll be singing verses 1, 2, 5, and 9.
Lecha Dodi likrat kala, panei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, panei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zakor b'dibor echad, Hishmianu el hamayukad, Adonai echad, Ushemo echad, Hashem ul tiferet veli tehila. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Panei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Panei Shabbat nekabela. Likrat ka Shabbat lekuvenelka, Ki mekor habaraka, Merosh mekedem nesuka, Sof maaseh b'machshava tekila. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Panei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Panei Shabbat nekabela. Hitoreri, kiva orek kui uri, shir daberi, kavod Adonai alayik nigla. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Panei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Panei Shabbat nekabela. Boi v'shalom materet ba'ala, Gam b'simcha u'v'tzola, Tokei munei am segula. Boi kala, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Panei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Panei Shabbat nekabela.
Now we're going to turn to page 22, which is page 140 in the blue color pages. Again, if you have the larger prayer book, you'll be using the blue ones. And I'm going to read this one myself, page 140 for the blue and 22. A psalm, a song for Shabbat. It is good to praise Adonai, to sing hymns to your name, O Most High, to proclaim your steadfast love at daybreak, your faithfulness each night with a 10-string harp with voice and lyre together. You have gladdened me by your deeds, Adonai. I shout for joy at your handiwork. How great are your works, Adonai. How very subtle your designs. A brute cannot know, a fool cannot understand this. The righteous bloom like a date palm. They thrive like a cedar in Lebanon, planted in the house of Adonai. They flourish in the courts of our God. In old age, they still produce fruit. They are full of sap and freshness, attesting that Adonai is upright, my rock in whom there is no wrong. We're now going to continue on page 28, which is the Baruch Hu, the call to worship. It is also page 146 in the blue numbers. As is our tradition, we rise for the Baruch Hu and for other prayers, but since we're sitting in front of our computers, we're going to give that option to anyone who would like to do it. So the Baruch Hu on page 28 and 146.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed.
And we turn to page 31 or 149 as we're going to invite Leslie to read our prayer for creation.
This is an hour of change. Within it we stand uncertain on the border of light. Shall we draw back or cross over? Where shall our hearts turn? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? This is the hour of change, and within it we stand quietly on the border of light. What lies before us? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over?
Thank you, Leslie. As now we're going to turn to page 34 or page 152 as we're going to sing Shema, which of course is the centerpiece of our service. So page 34 or page 152 as we invite Kelly to lead us.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kivod Malkuto Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Shem Kivod Malkuto Leolam Va'ed. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad.
And anyone who is standing, please be seated as we're going to continue on page 36 or 154 with Ve'ahavta. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha v'chol levavcha v'chol nafshecha v'chol meodecha v'hayu hadivarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantan levanecha v'divarta bam v'shivtecha v'veitecha v'vlechtecha v'derech v'shachbecha v'kumecha v'shartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot bein einecha v'chtavtam al mezuzot beitecha v'bisharecha leman tizkeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai yitem kedoshim lelohechem Ani Adonai Elohechem Asher Hotzeiti Etchem Me'eretz Mitzrayim Liot Lachem Lelohim Ani Adonai Elohechem. And we continue at the bottom of the page with the translation for Ve'ahavta. You shall love Adonai your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. Take to heart these instructions with which I charge you this day. Impress them upon your children. Recite them when you stay at home and when you are on your way, when you lie down and when you get up. Bind them as a sign upon your hand and let them serve as a symbol on your forehead. Inscribe them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. Then you shall remember to observe all my commandments and to be holy to your God. I am Adonai, your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I am Adonai, your God. And we're going to go ahead and continue now on page 39, which is also 157. So again, page 39 or 157, as we read the continuation of the blessings. Excuse me, went to the wrong page. There we go. As we read the continuations with the blessings, page 157 and 39. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness. Then there is no way to get from here to there, except by joining hands, marching together. We continue now on page 40 as we sing our prayer of freedom, Michamocha.
Mi kamoka bailim Adonai, mi kamoka nedar bakodesh, norat hilot osefele, norat hilot osefele, malekutecha ranu anecha, bokei ayam lifnei Moshe uMiriam. Ze'eli anu ve'amru Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed.
We now turn to the prayer Hashkivenu, which we do have in our prayer book, but we're going to sing this beautiful version as Kelly leads us in it. Again, Hashkivenu, our prayer is we invite God to protect us over this evening.
Do you want to not hear it? You want me to sing?
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, l'shalom, v'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Shelter us beneath thy wings, O Adonai. Guard us from all harmful things, O Adonai. Keep us safe throughout the night, till we wake with morning's light. Teach us, God, wrong from right. Amen. 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 Amen.
Thank you, Kelly. We're now going to turn to page 44 and page 162 and the blue page numbers, as we're going to sing the Shamru, our prayer for the Sabbath. Again, page 144 or 162.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי 6 ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
Thank you, Kelly. We're now going to turn to page 48 or page 166, as we're going to invite Mark Lawanda lead us in the Avot and the Givrot. The Givrot is found on page 50. So it'll be 4950 or 166 and 168. For those who would like to rise, we invite you to do so.
And as I said last week, in fact, when I did this, if you, on the second page that begins with Atagibor, there's a section there that hasn't, I don't think, always been done at Mikveh Israel, which has to do with 2 lines, one added in winter and one added in summer, and it really refers to Israeli time, when in the winter there is a call for rain, and in the summer here, there's a call for dew for the crops. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avoteinu v'Imoteinu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak v'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel v'Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Vekonei HaKol, Bezocher Chazdei Avot V'Imahot, Umevi Geula Livnei V'neihem, Lemahan Shemo B'Yahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen. Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham v'Ezrat Sarah. Ata gibor li'olam Adonai, Mechayei hakol, Ata rav lehoshia, Morid hatahal. Mechakel chayim b'chesed, Mechayei hakol b'rachamim rabim. Sohomech noflim v'rofech holim, Umatihir asurim, Umekahayim emunato l'shenei afar, Michamocha bal givurot, Umidom elach, Melech meimit, Umechayei, Umatzmiach Yeshua, B'nei Natali Achayot HaKol. Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayei HaKol.
And those who are standing, please be seated as we continue on page 55 or page 173 at the top of the page. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat. Amen. It's a pure joy to be able to recite the prayer for the Sabbath with everyone. We're now going to continue on page 57 as we invite Carrie Rosen to read us on 57 or 175, our prayer for Retsei at the bottom of the page.
You are with us. I can't see is the video on?
Your video is on, Carrie.
Okay, because I can't see it. You are with us in our prayer, our love and our doubt, in our longing to feel your presence and do your will. You are the still voice within us. Therefore, O God, when doubt troubles us, when anxiety makes us tremble, when pain clouds the mind, we look inward for the answer to our prayers, and there may we find you, and there find courage, insight, and endurance. And let our worship bring us closer to one another, that all Israel and all who seek you may find new strength for your service. Baruch atah Adonai, Shilachad, Levadka, Venira, Navot.
Thank you, Carrie. And we're going to conclude the Amidah on page 60 with our prayer of peace, Shalom Rav.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Ki ata hu melech adon l'kol hashalom. Ki ata hu melech adon l'kol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. B'kol benecha levarech et amcha Yisrael. B'kol eitu kol shah b'shlomecha. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Tasim leolam. Tasim leolam.
Thank you, Kelly. That was beautiful. As we're now going to turn to page 253 or page 371 in the blue page numbers, as we're going to say our Mishaberach. That means our prayer of healing. And as we know, we invite anyone who would like to send us names that we can recite aloud as we think about those in need of healing. So right now we're thinking about Stephanie Jung Nash, in Hebrew Shulamit Zahava Bat Ruth, and Bernard Campbell, as our prayers go with them for complete healing. Now I'm going to invite anybody who would like to out there to say the names of anyone aloud or privately.
Well, we certainly need to add April, who I hear is getting better, but has a ways to go yet.
Thank you, Marek. In the middle of the page, we sing our Mishaberach.
Mishaberach Avotenu Makor Habraka Limotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mishebeirach imotenu makor hamraka avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
Thank you, Kelly. And as we now come to this part in our service, we invite everyone to take a moment of private meditation. Now we're going to invite Kelly to lead us in May the Words.
May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you, Adonai, my rock and my redeemer. Amen.
And again, Shabbat Shalom to everyone from all of us participating in our service, everyone on YouTube. Hopefully next week we'll be doing a combination of Zoom and YouTube for everyone. Before we continue our service, though, we do want to say Shechianu for anyone who is celebrating. And as we do with other things, we invite you to send the list of names or whatever names to us so we can mention them. So happy birthday to Margot Ames. Happy birthday to Jennifer Rich. Happy birthday to Debbie Owen. And a happy belated birthday to Harris Greenberg. And a happy birthday or anniversary, anything else to everyone else out there. So as we celebrate all four of their birthdays, let us say Shechianu, Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Shechianu, V'kiyamanu, V'higianu lazman hazeh. Blessed are you, eternal God, ruler of the universe, who creates us and sustains us and brings us a time of great joy, just like celebrating a birthday. Amen. So happy birthday again. I hope everyone again is also doing well. In this week's portion, we see the word justice used twice. Justice, justice, you shall pursue. It's a very famous passage. Obviously, we hear it all the time. But in today's world, when I hear justice, I think just like Kelly and Carrie and Leslie, the first thing I think about in Terry is the Justice League of America, the comic book heroes, including Superman and Batman. And justice for them, of course, was bringing justice to the world to stop criminals. So that was justice for them, was stopping criminals. And so that's what I always thought it to be. But in Judaism, justice doesn't mean stopping criminals. It means so much more. It means righteousness and fairness. So think about that. Justice is righteousness and fairness, where sometimes in our court system, it is not necessarily either. In Hebrew, also, justice is tzedek, which means tzedakah in another form. So tzedakah, giving of money, is also justice, which is also righteousness. So as we can see, justice in the Jewish world means something very different than what I think of when I used to read the comic books of Superman and Batman. You know, when I stopped reading those comics last year, I started thinking about a new word for justice. Not only that, it tells us Tirdof to pursue justice. What does that mean? We're supposed to seek it out. We're not supposed to just let it happen. It's not just about court system, it's about justice, righteousness, fairness for everyone. So it finally says, if you do all these things, so shall you live. What does that mean? Justice, justice you shall pursue, so you shall live, which is very strange because we're going to live no matter what, and we're going to die no matter what. Whether we do justice or not, we're going to live, and we're also going to die because no one lives forever. So there must be something more to this idea of justice, justice than simply just the court system, because it means something akin to us living, probably living the life we're supposed to live. Even though we know we're going to live when there's injustice in the world, justice, justice you shall pursue teaches us that we must still pursue it so that we can live as we should live. And furthermore, why does it say justice, justice? Why doesn't it just say justice you shall pursue? It makes it so much easier. There's a lot of thoughts, but one of them is that it means go after justice justly. It means when you go to treat people fairly, do not do it at the expense of others. When you treat people with righteousness, do not do it at the expense of others. So others would say it just means emphasis, but I like the idea it means do justice justly. And again, as we mentioned, in Judaism, justice isn't just for the court system. It's not just for judges. It's for everything. But more importantly, justice is not just for Judaism in the secular world. It is also for Judaism in the spiritual world, in the religious world, because in Judaism, the secular and the ethereal are combined. In other words, we're supposed to treat people justly, whether it's in a court system, whether it's in our synagogues, whether we're walking on the way. It encompasses everything in our lives, not just individual moments. Sometimes I believe justice means going to the court for a hearing or punishing somebody who has done wrong, and certainly that might be part of it. But in Judaism, it means so much more. It is a broad idea of how we're supposed to treat others. And in the modern world, the idea of social justice has become such a part of our world as well. Social justice means to go out and socially create ways to be fair for everyone. It means going out through the system of America and finding ways to create fairness and righteousness. So as we read this portion, when we say justice, justice you shall pursue, some of us do think of Justice League of America, the superheroes, but rightly we should think more about the idea that justice is something that encompasses Judaism in so many ways. Just like the word tzedek means justice, tzedakah means righteousness, but both have completely different meanings. So I want to wish everyone all the best as we continue to pursue social justice and justice in our country. We know our synagogue is involved in several areas of social justice, as we'll be learning more of, and we hope everyone will want to participate. So thank you, everybody, and again, all our best. And again, Mazel Tov to Marek on having by far the best background. It was a contest, and it wasn't even close. So good job, Marek. We're now going to go ahead, you're welcome, and return to our prayer books as we're going to come to the Aleinu, which is found on several pages. As we know, you can find it on page 282 in the black colored ones and 586 in the blue color. So again, I invite everyone who would like also to please rise. As we continue, and again, we're going to be reciting the Aleinu found at the bottom of the page, which is the original one.
Aleinu leshabeach la'adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא.
And we continue on page 287, or page 591.
ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
Page 293 or page 597. Our thoughts now turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people whose graves are unmarked, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and of death. At this time, we take a moment as we honor memory each week of the men and women who gave their lives in defense of our country as members of armed forces. And we remember also too the yahrzeit anniversary of Jacqueline Barnett, David Blattner, Gutman Cherniak, Dorothy Wizen Coleman, Charles Coleman, Elsa Dalsimer, Mrs. Hermione Dell, Alan Sims Gaynor, Hyman L. Golden, Julian Good, Naomi Schwartz-Nabel, Richard Lazar, Joseph L. Levington, Bossy Mold, Rachel Lipsitz Quint, Jacob Schmaltz, and Ruth Wynn Spritz. If anybody else has the name of someone they'd like to mention loud or privately, I now invite you to mention their names. The Kaddish Praise is found on page 294, as I invite everyone who would like to please rise. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'yalma divrach yiruteh v'yamlich malchuteh, v'chayachon v'yomechon v'chayedechol Beit Yisrael, v'agalav v'zman kri v'himru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach l'olam olamei omaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yipar v'yitroman v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei d'kudusha b'rechu, leila min kol birchata v'shirata, tush b'chata v'nechemata, Tamiram Be'alma V'imru Amen. Yehei Shlomo Rabamin Shemaya, Echaim Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael V'imru Amen. Osei Shalom B'Merav, Hu Ya'aseh Shalom, Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael V'imru Amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us and to all the world, to which we say Amen. And I want to thank everyone for joining us here tonight. Thank you to Leslie and Marek and Terry, and thank you to Carrie, and of course thank you to Kelly, who plays so beautifully. We appreciate it. Anybody wants to participate on a Friday night, just let us know. Ask for upcoming. And thanks to Phil, who just came into the picture for a second. And for those of you wondering what's coming up, we have services tomorrow 11. We have our usual classes. On Tuesday, though, I will not have a class at 1 p.m. as I had something that came up, but we'll still have everything else during the week. We also have high holidays coming up in Slichot, and so we're busy working to ensure that we have an amazing series of virtual services for everyone. And I think there's a lot of people putting in a lot of effort to make sure we have a unique and beautiful series of stream services. We're also inviting people to send in videos of them playing the shofar or throwing bread into some part of the water. And make them funny if you can, as we're going to play them for the Tashlich and Rosh Hashanah family service. Again, Shabbat Shalom to everybody. And before we conclude, I'm going to invite everybody here to wave and say Shabbat Shalom. You can go off mute to say so.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shalom.
And again, we thank you all for coming, especially Mark, because of the backdrop, which is just incredibly awesome. We're going to conclude with Lechi Lach, which can be found on page 341 or 645. Again, that's 341 or 645. And hopefully everyone will have a wonderful weekend as we invite Kelly to lead us. It is at the top of the page, and for those who would like to, we invite you to rise.
You will not, then I will.
Lucky luck to a land that I will show you. Luck, luck to a place you do not know. Lucky luck on your journey I will bless you, and you shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing. Lucky luck. Lucky luck, and I shall make your name great. Luck, luck, and all shall praise your name. Lucky luck to the place that I will show you. L'simchat chaim, l'simchat chaim, l'simchat chaim, lucky luck. And you shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing, lucky luck.
Thank you, Kelly. And before we conclude, of course, we're going to say our bracha, our prayer for the wine and for the challah. So if anybody has it, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho v'ahava uvratzon chinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit ki hu yom techila lemikrai kodesh zecher letziat mitzrayim kivanu v'acharta v'otanu kidashta mikol hamim v'shabbat kodshecha v'ahava uvratzon chinchaltanu baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat. Amen and l'chaim.
L'chaim.
And finally, for our challah, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
Amen.
And we're so good at making challah. That challah looks exactly like the challah we've seen during these services for the last 4 or 5 months. That's how accurate, how well we make the exact same challah every time. It's really quite amazing. So as we conclude our service, I'm going to invite Marek and Terry and Leslie to wave goodbye, as we'll invite Kelly to play some goodbye music. Again, everybody be safe. Have a good weekend. And we look forward to seeing you next week here for Shabbat services. Kelly, hit it.
Shalom.
Thank you again, everybody. Be safe. Have a good weekend.